From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Nick Bruel is the author and illustrator of the Bad Kitty series, which include 3 picture books, Bad Kitty, Poor Puppy, and Bad Kitty Christmas, as well as the chapter books, Bad Kitty Gets a Bath. Wait, who doesn't like to take a bath? Well, you should take a bath. It helps out. It cleans yourself. You know? Bad Kitty versus Uncle Murray, Bad Kitty Meets the Baby, and Happy Birthday, Bad Kitty.
Nick lives with his wife and daughter in Tarrytown, New York. Visit him at www.nickbruel.com. Now here he is, Nick Bruel!
Hi, everyone. Wow, whose idea was it to have me follow the band? Makes me wish I remembered to bring an electric guitar or learn to play one. Hey, as you heard, my name is Nick Bruel, and I have this awesome job where I get to write and illustrate books for guys like you. And every now and then, it gives me this opportunity to actually get to meet kids like you, but this is kind of unusual, because usually when I visit schools, I don't have big, giant projection screens of Nick Bruel. Hey, how come Nick Bruel doesn't make eye contact with me when it doesn't matter. And I don't get to see my books in sign language. So I want to see Bad Kitty. Give me Bad Kitty. Oh, I love, see one more time. Oh, let's try that. Oh, that's wonderful. Bad Kitty. Yeah. All right, so now I was inspired a couple of years ago to write a new book about Bad Kitty, knowing that it would be coming out in 2012. And I had to start thinking about what's going to be happening in 2012. First thing that came to mind was the Olympics. That happens in 2012, but I kind of covered that in Bad Kitty Meets the Baby. So then I thought about, hey, I know. Why don't I do a book about this sort of weird, absurd, and yet kind of wonderful process this country goes through every 4 years, known as the general election. Which brings me here today. Next book the book I'm going to read to you from is this one that's up here, Bad Kitty for President. Now I'm going to give you a little update as to what's going to be happening. Just before this, Bad Kitty has found out that she is going to be running against Big Kitty, her opponent in the election. And while she's going on this grassroots campaign, knocking on door to door down the neighborhood, she finds out that who opens the door but Big Kitty herself. She has one of her patented freakouts, and that Big Kitty happens to capture it with a photograph. So this is the part that's right in the middle of the book, and it's called Media and Money. Good morning, Kitty. Are you ready for another day of pounding the pavement and knocking on doors for your campaign? Oh, what's this, Kitty? Today's newspaper? We turn the page and we see the front page. Hissy fit. Cat candidate freaks out. Well, I wouldn't worry too much about this, Kitty. People will forget all about this soon enough, and once we begin discussing the issues they care most about, I think we can rely on the voters to make an educated decision. It's just a good thing there wasn't a video camera there to record. She leans over, clicks on the computer, and we see the actual, whoop, we missed it. The video, ViewTube, cat candidate goes nutso. Well, I guess that Big Kitty is a pretty shrewd campaigner after all. But never mind all that, Kitty. Let's go out and pound the pavement. Let's go knock on some... No. Why aren't you coming with me, Kitty? Kitty, what are you trying to tell me? Are you firing me, Kitty? Are you serious? Wow, I really didn't see that coming. But how will you run your campaign without me? You need me, don't you? Don't you? She clicks on the computer once more, and we see the actual website, www.badkittyforpresident.com. If you love money, if you love freedom, give me money. Donate now. You have your own campaign website? But how? You couldn't have done this yourself, and who would be so goofy enough to make a campaign website for a cat? Who would be so irresponsible as to make a campaign website for you? Who could you have possibly tricked into? Oh, who did it? Who do you think made that? Uncle Murray. Which brings us to the second of two of Uncle Murray's fun facts, which gives me the explanation, allows me to sort of explain to you another one of the reasons I made this book. I know that everybody here, everyone who can hear me, and everyone outside in D.C. and everyone in this country is going to be saturated with all sorts of bizarre vocabulary and language. You only hear once every 4 years things like campaign and ballots and absentee ballots and primaries and that sort of thing. Uncle Murray is going to explain all of these things to us, including in this section what political action committees and even super PACs do. First of all, Kitty, I can't believe there are people out there who are goofy enough to send you money. But I suppose if Uncle Murray was goofy enough to make you a website so he can find people goofy enough to send you money, then I suppose anything is possible. So, what do you plan to do with all of your money anyway? Why are you picking up that remote, Kitty? Is it time for a paw in order? Or all my kittens? Or no. You didn't. Please tell me you didn't. You did. She clicks on the TV remote and we see this is Kitty. What a good kitty. Such a very good kitty. Isn't she a good kitty? Yes, she is. Gosh, she's such a good kitty. Such a very, very good kitty. Don't be a jerk. Vote for Kitty. This is Kitty, and she approved this message. Well, Kitty. Well, Kitty, that commercial may be the most revolting thing I've ever seen on television. Kitty, you can't just make yourself out to be what you think people want to see. If you want to be president, then you have to be honest about who you are. Plus, voters care about issues. You have to tell voters where you stand on the things they care about most. Have you forgotten all about the stray cat issue? That's why you were running for president in the first place. Now, please tell me that you have something more to show that will address the important issues of the day. She clicks on the remote one more time and we see, what do we really know about Big Kitty? Oh, sure, he's big, but lots of things are big. Elephants are big. Cars are big. And dogs are big. That's right, dogs. Big, stupid, sloppy dogs that stink and drool and poop wherever the heck they want. Big Kitty is as big as a dog. It makes you wonder, could Big Kitty really be a dog? Paid for by the coalition to make sure that dogs are not secretly elected to be president of the neighborhood cat club. The coalition to make sure that dogs are not secretly elected to be president of the neighborhood cat club. What the blankety blank blank is that? Oh, Kitty, you went and found some super PAC that would go out there and smear poor Big Kitty just to further your campaign. You know that Big Kitty isn't really a dog, don't you? Don't give me that big innocent look. I don't care that you're not the one who actually made the ad, and I don't care that you're not even mentioned in the ad. You claim to know nothing about the organization that made this ad, but I don't believe it for a second. Ring, ring. Hello? Yes, I see. Okay, I'll tell her. Thank you. Goodbye. Well, Kitty, now you have to put your money where your mouth is. You've been invited to have a public debate with Big Kitty on the day before the election. That's right, now you'll have to stand before all of the voters and explain to them just why you should be their best choice to represent them as their president. Kitty? Kitty? Uh-oh. End of chapter 4. All right. I'm sorry if I sounded a little rushed getting through that, but I knew I didn't have much time here on stage with you guys, and this is my first time at this festival, or seeing kids in DC, so I want to leave as much time as I possibly could for questions from any of you. So please stand up or raise your hand if you have a question you want to ask me, and bear in mind that I'm in my late 40s and in a period of slow decay, so it's going to be hard for me to hear you necessarily. Oh, you got a microphone. What's your question there, young man?
Where can I get the book?
Where can you get the book? Hopefully, if you were to go into like a Barnes & Noble or to an independent bookstore, or wherever you go, you should be able to get this book. But now, if they do not have the book, this is important. This is what you do. You drop to the ground screaming, flailing your hands as wide as you can. I don't care if it's incomprehensible. And you do so until someone on staff brings you a copy of the book. That is usually what works for me. Right there, what is your question?
Do you actually have a bad kitty?
Do I actually have a bad kitty? You know what, I have a cat at home named Esmeralda. And actually, if you look in the appendix of Bad Kitty Gets a Bath, you'll see a photograph of Esmeralda. She's also on the front cover of Happy Birthday, Bad Kitty. And I like to describe Esmeralda this way. She is the most loving, the most affectionate, the most wonderful cat I have ever known, and I have the scars to prove it. Because here's the thing you have to understand about cats, and if all of you who have a cat, you'll know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter how sweet they are. It doesn't matter how loving or affectionate they are. It doesn't matter how much they like to rub up against your leg or sleep peacefully in your lap. They all have a dark side. And it is that dark side that I tap into to create this personality of Bad Kitty that's allowed me to do so many books. Right there. Yes?
How many chapters does the book have?
How many chapters does the book have? That's a good question, because different books have different number of chapters. I think this one has about 8 chapters, but then it also has an appendix. An appendix is kind of like an addition to the book that doesn't actually tell the story of the book, but in this case, it's an appendix that defines all of the vocabulary words that you will find inside the book itself. You know what? This young lady right here has had her hand up all this time. Nice and loud for me. You can just say, we do without the microphone. Excellent question. She wants to know, how old was I when I first started writing books? Okay, well, I can answer that one of 2 ways. But I'm in a generous mood, so I'll answer both ways. Now, on one hand, my first book was called Boing. It was about a baby kangaroo that learns how to go boing. That came out in 2004. So in 2004, I was 38 years old. So I've been writing books, but those are the books that appear on the shelves in your bookstore or appear on the shelves in your library, and those are books that are published. And just because you write a book, you put your heart and soul and effort into writing a book, but it doesn't wind up on those shelves. Doesn't mean it's not a book. It's just not published. So really, honestly, I've been writing books since I was in 1st grade. Oh, thank you. Wow. I didn't anticipate that reaction, but you didn't see them. But here's the thing. I did this because I love doing it so much. I was writing books in 1st grade and 2nd grade and 3rd grade. I remember being in 4th grade. I wrote a whole series of stories called The Adventures of the Invisible Family. Now, the great thing, as it turns out, about writing a series of stories called The Adventures of the Invisible Family is that an invisible family is very easy to draw. So Mr. Invisible was just shirt and pants and shoes. Mrs. Invisible, the house dress. The dog was invisible. So all I had to do was draw a dog collar that floated around in midair. And I was writing and drawing stories in 5th grade, and 6th grade, middle school, high school, college, all the way till now, but always because I love it as much then as I do now. Yes, big kid in the balcony there.
What has inspired you to create this character that is, so bad and
right.
And so fun to watch?
What inspired me to write this book about Bad Kitty? I have a funny thing that I do. When I have to write a story, thank you. I'm told I have 5 minutes, and I'm internally grateful that they used a sign and not a seltzer bottle, which is what I think they probably would do, because I lose track. When I have to write a story, when it is my turn to sit down with a big sheet of paper and a pen in my hand, and I have to write that story, I find it very difficult to begin the story going, once upon a time, fill in the blank. It's a very big blank, and my brain can't handle it. So instead, this is what I do. I give it little mental jumpstart exercises, and one jumpstart exercise I always use is I don't think of the story first, I don't think of the character, I think of the title first. So it was about 9, 10 years ago. I was sitting at home, and I was doing just that, contemplating book titles, titles I'd never seen before, and I would write them down as an exercise, because I didn't have to worry about the story, just titles. I'd write them down as they came to me. I wrote down some that I liked, I wrote down some that I did not like, but I found myself settling on this one title, Bad Kitty. I liked that title. So that's when you start asking yourself questions. The first question was obvious. All right, if I have a book title like Bad Kitty, what is the book going to be about? Well, it's going to be about a cat that does something bad. That was easy. I moved on. I then asked myself the question, all right, what does the cat do that is so bad? And that's when I came up with so many ideas that I thought it'd be interesting if I put them into alphabetical order. And that's how that book came about, and all the rest came thereafter. You're with her? What's your question there?
Where did you get all of the ideas for the book?
Where did I get all of the ideas for the books? You know, ideas come from different places. And so none of the ideas really came from the very same place. And so things like Happy Birthday, Bad Kitty, that was an idea my wife had. And she said, you know, why don't you give that cat a birthday party? Bad Kitty Meets the Baby. That idea came to me because we were in the process of getting ready to go to Vietnam to adopt our daughter. And here I was sitting at home wondering, boy, looking at my cat and realizing there is no way I can explain to her the bomb we're about to drop on her in less than 2 weeks. And from that idea, I started thinking, wonder what if I can do if Bad Kitty was in the same position. So, you know, I'm lucky in that all these Bad Kitty books, I've grown to know the characters so much, every idea came from the same place, asking the question, what? And every question begins with the 2 words, what if? The more times you ask yourself questions that begin with what if, the more times you get interesting ideas. Where are you? Okay, yes.
I was in Raleigh, Quail Ridge, and
Yep.
I didn't. You were supposed. I was supposed to see it. You there for the Bad Kitty for president.
Oh, okay.
But instead, I just saw a man dressed up as a cat.
Really? You sure I wasn't the guy inside the costume? Was? All right. He's talking about a wonderful bookstore in Raleigh, North Carolina called Quail Ridge. And I've been there a couple times. It's a fantastic bookstore. Love that place. One of my favorite moments in that store was, it was one of the first times I went signing there, and they came up to me, and by the way, they have inside their bathroom little pictures of every author that's gone inside that store and signed their name to the picture. They framed them all throughout the bathroom. So the bathroom's like almost completely filled with all these author photos. So they come up to me and they say, hey, we want to add you to the bathroom. I go, great, I'd love to put my name on this thing. And they're telling me the story. When Mo Willems was here, he said, can I write rats? I bet they put me next to the toilet. And that was hilarious. So I said, okay, would it be okay if I wrote rats? I bet they put me next to Mo Willems. And they did. So that's something you gotta look for next time you're in Quail Ridge. Who else? Right there. You with a fancy hat.
What book do you think you're gonna come out with next for the Bad Kitty series?
Oh, this is such a fantastic question. That's what's known as marketing. In January, you will see Bad Kitty School Days. It's the first book I ever did that came entirely from my visiting schools and popular demand. All these kids saying, we want you to do a book about what it's like to send this kitty into this world that we're thrown into each and every single day. And I said, okay, I want to do that too. Took me 2 years to come up with an idea, and here it is. I'm sorry I'm going so fast. In Bad Kitty School Days, Kitty does something so awful, so heinous, so horrible in the beginning of the book that she and Puppy are sent to a pet obedience school for the day. It's where we meet 3 new characters. Because if you're in school, you need a teacher. So there's a teacher, and she's the first significant human being since Uncle Murray. And then we meet 2 other students who have their own unique malfunction. There's a very cute, sweet little bunny rabbit who honestly believes he's really a mutant supervillain. And there is a very big, very large, very mean and ugly-looking bulldog named Petunia, whose issue is that more than anything else in the world, she hates cats. And Kitty's been put in the classroom with her. The book I'm working on right now that I hope to finish in the next 6 to 8 weeks or so is Bad Kitty Meets the Author. I'll let you wrestle with that provocative title. Are we out of time? Do we have time for one more? Where's my question, lady? No, we're all out of time. You know what? I couldn't have planned that to be. I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm going to give myself the last question because you seem to really be excited about the idea of kids writing in 1st grade. Raise your hand, kids, if you have written a book or a story. Excellent. Nice to see. Put them down again. Raise your hand again if it was hard work writing that book or that story. All right. Put them down again. Raise your hand one last time if it was fun writing that book or that story. All right. Put them down again. Here's your lesson for the day, at least from the likes of me. As you just showed, something can be hard work and fun at the same time. That's what it's like for me. Every time I get up every morning and I struggle with every breath down into the basement where my office is, I write and I illustrate stories for kids like you guys, and it is always hard work. It is always a struggle. It is often frustrating, but it is always tremendous, tremendous fun at the same time. And for that, I thank you. Enjoy the rest of your festival.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.